Millions of people are about to experience the coldest Christmas of their life, as a historic cold front is about to send a large chunk of the country into a record-breaking deep freeze. On top of that, we have a huge storm forming, and it's going to intercept that cold air just in time for a Christmas time blizzard. Will you be getting snow? And how cold is it actually going to get? Well, to understand exactly how cold it's going to get here in the US, we have to understand where that cold air is coming from. You see, this Arctic blast that's about to sweep over the country is originating from Siberia, which is one of the coldest places on the entire planet. Just a few days ago, it was 78 degrees below zero in the city of Yakutsk. That same Arctic air is about to force its way through Canada and into the lower 48 over the next week and a half. You see, under normal circumstances, this cold air would stay locked in place around Siberia. But a really interesting weather pattern is setting up that meteorologists like to call the Siberian Express. This train of Arctic air will be forced to leave the station as a blocking high pressure system from the North Pacific Ocean gets lofted up into Siberia. This high pressure is going to force the cold air out of Siberia, so where's the cold air going to go? The cold air is going to board the Siberian Express and follow the tracks laid down by the high pressure ridge. It'll follow a clockwise path up through the Arctic Circle, then down through Canada, and finally it'll chug down past the Rocky Mountains and flood into the central and eastern US. Right now, we're not exactly certain of how intense this cold air is going to be as it resonates over the US, but the GFS model has this big wall of cold air moving into the northwestern US on Tuesday into Wednesday, and then spilling over the Rockies into the plains on Thursday into Friday. Look at all that daggone pink. Entire states in the northern plains, central, and midwest regions of the US could be looking at 30 to 50 degrees below average temperatures during the peak cold time period. Then we see that cold air flow eastward as we head into Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And the European model is looking pretty darn similar, but it's much faster in the overall progression of the front. Just look at that literal wall of Arctic air coming in on Thursday. This would be accompanied by strong winds as well, maybe even up to 60 miles per hour at times. This could actually end up being one of this winter's most extreme air masses. The record cold may reach as far south as Texas, with some models showing low temperatures at or below zero across the panhandle on Friday morning. And that's nothing compared to the wind chills. Look at this, 50 below zero in North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Nebraska. How about negative 25 degrees in Arkansas? And as the cold air moves east, we could see wind chills in the negative teens as far south as into Tennessee. And with this cold air mass driving south, providing a chilly breeze, on Christmas morning, we could be looking at 10 to 15 degree wind chills in northern Florida. Here's a map showing where I think the coldest air is going to set up from Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. Areas in the cold zone will be noticeably chilly, but the closer you get to the coldest region, we're talking about sub-zero temperatures and a major spike in heating demand that could lead to power outages. So if you're really looking to ditch the coats and get away from that Siberian air, the Southwest looks like the place to be. So we have this huge historically cold wave of air settling in across the US just before Christmas. Could you imagine if this had happened last week when that massive storm came through that caused the tornado outbreak in the South? I mean, that would just be crazy. And the models are showing an even bigger storm coming through just before Christmas. You see, our last system was massive and it produced a blizzard in the north and a full-on tornado outbreak in the south. Another storm is coming just before Christmas, and honestly, it looks very similar to that last one that just went by. The only difference this time is the cold air is much farther south. This means the blizzard will take place farther south and the thunderstorms will likely be displaced all the way out to sea. We aren't really sure exactly how far south the cold air is going to make it though. If it goes all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico and interacts with the storm system in a way that keeps it hugging the East Coast, in the days leading up to Christmas, a huge snowstorm will likely impact these areas being highlighted in pink. However, if the cold air and jet stream pattern is a little bit more reserved, everything will be a tad bit farther north, meaning that this pink zone would actually be the hardest hit area in terms of snow. Right now, the European model shows the cold air and snow working over the Rockies on Tuesday into Wednesday, and that leads to a big field of snow that eventually develops on Thursday in the Midwest. And as the storm gets bigger, the cold front progresses the snow into the Ohio Valley. And this huge area of cold air does eventually reach the East Coast and even as far south as Florida, but the energy gets intensely wrapped around the low, favoring the northern side of the storm for the biggest snow totals. This leads to our blizzard and snowstorm being focused on the Great Lakes region, with, according to this one model, some places in Michigan and Wisconsin are going to get over a foot of snow. Now, the GFS is more southern and slower with the energy overall. This shows snow in Oklahoma on Thursday and a big snowstorm for a lot of people east of the Mississippi River through Christmas Eve. And according to this model, heavy snowpack could be on the ground from portions of Arkansas through Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and maybe even up into the interior Northeast on Christmas morning. Some models are still showing a more eastward progression given snow to the coastal cities, but most favor a more north and west track right now. With all that being said, this pattern overall reminds me a lot of the blizzard of 1978. That storm battered the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes regions with what is now known as one of the most severe blizzards in U.S. history. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be a repeat of that, but it does favor the Midwest and Ohio Valley over an East Coast snowstorm. It's very important to remember that we are still several days away from this actually happening, so there's a lot of moving parts and many things can and will change. But I promise you this, someone is going to get a massive Christmas time blizzard, and even more of you are going to see just a brutally cold Christmas overall. If you end up being in one of those groups, the smartest thing to do is to prepare now. You can do that by doing any last minute Christmas shopping before the Arctic air arrives. Go ahead and gas up the generator and just make sure that you're ready for the worst. And of course, we can't forget the most important thing, get yourself a Yalameter 2.0 from shopryanhall.com. We all know that no matter where it hits, while this snowstorm is going on, Ryan Hall is going to be live on YouTube. And during the live stream, I want to compile the biggest user-submitted snow report database ever. We can actually do this if you guys send in your snow reports by taking pictures of your Yalameters in the snow. To encourage this, we're going to pick someone who sent in a snow report, and at the end of the stream, just give them $1,000. That's right, I'm going to give people $1,000 just for sending me pictures of snow. And I'm not just going to do this for this upcoming storm. I'm going to do it for every snowstorm this season. So if you want to have the best snow pick on the block and have a shot at winning $1,000, go to shopryanhall.com right now and buy a new Yalameter 2.0 today. Now, we're getting awfully daggone close to the holiday, so I can't really promise that it's going to get there before Christmas. It just depends on how many are sold during this promotion, but I promise we're going to try our best, and if you order soon, there's a good chance it'll get there just in time. Nevertheless, in the future, there will be more snowstorms, and you're going to be wishing you had a Yalameter for all of them if you don't get one right now. This is one of the best ways you can support me, the channel, the team, and everything that goes on in Ryan Hall Y'all world. If you've ever wanted to support us before, this is the way to do it. It's fun, and it's just, it's awesome. So thank you for your support. shopryanhall.com. There's a link in the description, and I'm going to shut up now. Super huge shout out to all of our members over here. Thank you guys for being a big part of the channel. Once again, go subscribe to Ryan Hall Y'all Extra. I'm going to have daily updates on there. I'm going to have more videos on this channel, but it's easy to just kind of get those quick rapid fire updates out on the extra channel. And then I'm going to have a live stream here on this channel if there is actually a big winter storm warning area or a blizzard warning for this upcoming storm. I think we're going to go live for it. So stay tuned. We'll keep you updated on that. And once again, thank you guys for all the support. I've got the best job in the world, and I couldn't have it without you. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Ooh.